they're making that big point about, oh, if it's amplified, it's not right.
Yeah.
It's like chopping the flipping wires at the, what was that festival that Dylan played at when was it Pete Seeger took an axe to the flipping power cable?
Did he really? Oh yeah, you're Lake Monterey.
No,
Newport Folk Festival. Yeah. So yeah. Well,
not necessary, I think.
Yeah. Well, there has been that thing of like pretending that the workhouse is still in business, and synthesizers haven't been made.
Yeah, they have, and you've got to use them in a way that suits your genre of music. And I've got no problem with the electronic aspect of presenting a good song, because in the final analysis, really, a good song is a good song is a good song. You know, and I think it's probably harder to make a good song sound rubbish than a really mediocre song sound excellent. You know.
It must be hard for you to choose songs and music. For the radio show. I mean, when you're presented with, well, you'll be almost under siege with people sending you publicity and CDs and whatever.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of that. Yeah, there's an awful lot, and I think everybody deserves a try. And I wish that I had time to listen to every album that I got sent in its entirety, because I think that's how you get to know music better. There simply isn't time in the day. So generally speaking, if somebody, I get CDs and stuff from the PR companies who are paid to distribute, to promote the artists, and that's all well and good. It's part of the business. But I'll get somebody from Manchester who's got an envelope, and they've put their CD in that they've produced in their own lounge or bedroom or the local studio, and they put a note on it on the back of the bus ticket, saying like, well, I've done this my album, would you please give it a play? And all I'll do is I'll stick a couple of tracks on and say, is that appropriate to the roots and acoustic genre of the show? I won't be making a judgment, that's not good enough for the show. I won't do that. I'll say that's within the genre, it gets played.
Okay. And the other thing is, it's funny when you were talking about Guest Tetner, was it?
Yeah, it is the old Guest Tetner.
I'll tell you what a Swiss roll is. Yeah, but it's like a Guest Tetner where you have to reel them off. I'm sure that the PR companies will be making things to look as if it's being produced in somebody's bedroom, and
I'm sure there's that going off, as well. But I try not to be judgmental about stuff, as far as the radio is concerned. Yeah, because like I said before, who am I to be judgmental? I'm a non-musician, that just appreciates.
But you're
music.
A consumer of music.
I am a consumer of music.
So you have every right and every right to have an opinion and to say what it is that you do and don't like.
Yes, I think it's always all right to say something about music and say, this is not my cup of tea, or it is. But I don't think it's all right to say this is really good and that's rubbish. I don't think.
Which you don't.
I would never. I don't think anybody with the right head on would do that. But anyway, that's just an opinion. If it's as far as radio is concerned, and the production and the presentation of music, I think if it's good music within the genre, like I used to try and do with the Roots Music Club when I was helping to run that, I was always concerned about crossover. Because I want folk and acoustic music clubs to thrive, and there are a few challenges in that, certainly. But, I'd like the people who are, if you like, blues fans to come and listen to some folk. I'd like the unaccompanied traditional players who might just sing shanties to come and listen to, a bit of quality jazz. So I think not only is it a healthy thing to do, it also, it kind of, it's got the potential for a venue to develop your audience, because if you're only dealing with one narrow genre, you've only got one kind of audience aim at. I had an interesting conversation. I did a bit of work down at the Gate to Southwell Festival, did a bit of stage management stuff, ended up inevitably having a pint afterwards, and I was sat with Chris Drever and John McCusker having a beer. And we were just having a general crack about things, and lots of things came out of the conversation. But one of the things that the lads were saying, and they do loads and loads of festivals, the message I got was that their opinion was, it seems to be that there's less and less purely folk festivals, purely blues festivals, purely jazz, purely heavy rock. It might not be true at the top end, but they felt that there was a lot more crossover now, and I think that crossover is important. And if you're developing an audience and an appreciation of music, you know, I'd like somebody who normally wouldn't listen to, I don't know, whatever it happened to be, come and have a go at this because it's quite nice, and they go away thinking, hey, that's pretty good. That that for me is like a tick in the box. It's like, hey, that's a result. Yeah, you know,
surprise the audience. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, in the past, I think everybody's been very tribal. You know, that this is traditional, this is contemporary, this is, you know, I'm not going to go to that because I don't. I've never listened to that because I don't like it. Yeah, and there's that attitude of, well, how do you know you don't like it if you've never listened to it?
I know what I like.
Yeah.
But I think that's still there to some extent, and I believe and I hope that those barriers are being broken down as younger people come into music. You know, and I could name check a few people, but I will name check one in particular. There's a young lad now, I think he's 16, a lad from Rotherham called James Haig. And he's a phenomenal guitar player, and his dad rang me up, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, and said, "Oh, you run that club?" I said, "Well, my lad's playing guitar, and we think he's all right. You think you can have a go at a floor spot?" I says, "Well, of course he can." You know, so he came along, and so he did 3 songs. He did he did a Nick Jones song, a Martin Simpson number, and a Martin Carthy number. We're all going,
yes.
What's he been listening to? So it's nice that the people kind of listening to that sort of stuff and getting engaged by it. You know, in the same way that there's that thing where you know teenagers these days are starting to listen to the parents' record collection. No bad thing.
Why? Because there might be a Bill Nelson's
or something like that. Let's rediscover the Beatles and all that. But I mean, my kid. You know, he listens to his music, on his headphones, and you know, sometimes I'll have a look at what he's listening to. Some of it I've never heard of, and some of it's quite mildly surprising. Thinking, "Oh, you like that, do you?" He says, "Yeah, it's good, isn't it?" You know, and it might be something by the Eagles. Oh, these Eagles.
Yes.
You know,
that's it. Yeah, out of curiosity, in the same way as we might have looked at 78 and just picked up something. I mean. There was that period in time with the Temperance 7 and the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, and everybody got into the kind of collegian Ivy League jazz, you know. Miss Pollyanna never was sad until she met an undergrad, you know, that kind of thing. This is something that we went recently to the Speakeasy in Sunderland with George Shovlin. And there's a place, I mean, and I felt almost guilty that I hadn't been before, because I was under the impression that it was just a blues club, and it's not that I don't like blues. I was brought up at the South Tyne Folk and Blues Club, where you'd have shanties, blues, and I thought, well, I can't play anything in blues, and I'll be honest, I'm not really the best of audience members. After about 40 minutes, I'm kind of like going, okay, can you do something different, please? But it's like every genre's acceptable. And it's not in the rarefied atmosphere of a concert.
I think it's brilliant. It's at the Harbour View pub, Sunderland, get there. And George Shovlin, you know, I first came across George Shovlin really because of his blues band. In fact, I helped to put him on and that. And a lovely guy, great band. But when you look back at at George's background, you know, he came up through the folk clubs. He can tell you, you know, he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of that stuff. He's just developed into more the blues than the traditional folk. But he's kind of been there, done that. And so the times that I've been to that kind of little speakeasy thing, that you can have anything on, you know, and people have a go, and it just seems to have risen to that level of everybody's competent plus, you know. And I don't think he edits it and said, "Well, you're not good enough, pal," because there's all sorts of people turn up on the night off, like, you know, yourself, Tom McConville's been there, Rob Clements. You know, you just make just make the cut.
I just about made it there.
But that, you know, but using that as an example, what George Shovlin does there, I think it's it's plausible and it's laudable, because everybody enjoys it, and because there's a mixture of genres of music, people just turn up because they know it's going to be good, and they're not going, "Oh, we're not going tonight because so and so's on." It's like they just go. How good is that?
There's bound to be somebody in the mix of the people who are singing and playing that somebody's going to wind up liking.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, not all live music clubs are like that, but I think that's a good model. And you know, being a true blue Yorkshireman, it's free. Sorry. If it's free, can I come twice?
Yeah. Can I have my money back?
Yeah.
which I once tried. The Bebop Deluxe was supposed to play at Leeds University, but they didn't, and I'd got in for free. And I did try and claim my money. Don't tell Bill. Yeah. I think there's just one last thing I'd like to say. There's like a rise in the number of young people who are playing, but mainly as guests.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? That they've been on a course or whatever, but you don't quite often in folk clubs you don't see them doing floor spots, which is perhaps in our time that was the only way to get seen. Would you advise them, or would you say that it would be better rather than just turning up as the guest to perhaps sort of like hone some of your craft by doing floor spots?
Well, again, speaking as a non-musician, I think that's kind of essential. But what always amazes me is and it don't seem to happen. What seems to happen quite a lot is there's lots and lots and lots of what we call open mic nights, right? You know, and some of them are pretty successful. And in some respects, if I was being cynical, it's a method of the pub getting some live music in for note, because it kind of gives people a bit of a platform. Some of them are excellent. Other ones that are not so good, you'll see situations where, you know, where people alert that they'll wait their turn to play and they're not really interested in who's on. But when they're on, they want everybody to listen, and they'll go out for a fag and not listen to the next people. So that's the downside of the open mic night. But the frustrating thing is that if they look around, they could still, you know, experience, you know, a Michael Chapman live or a Martin Carthy. They could actually, without too much difficulty and without paying a big ticket price, see somebody that's been there, done that, is an icon of this, and learn how to do it a bit better. And I take my hat off to the young kids that do that, because they want to get better, and they want to know where it came from. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of the teenagers they kind of get doing open mic night, and they'll do a few pop hits from the charts sort of situation. No wrong with that, but it don't develop what I think their potential skill is. Yeah,
but we used to do that. I mean, quite often it'd be like after the folk club, everybody'd go back to somebody's house and we'd just play Beatles, you know, for 2 or 3 hours afterwards. So I suppose that was the same kind of thing. But yeah, I understand. It's just, I just feel sometimes I'd like to see like the craft of performance other than the notes and the music, so that there's like a connection with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and good examples would be, you know, I've put on various really good quality, you know, support artists in the past. Some of the young people music's fantastic, but doing simple things like being able to talk to the audience while you're tuning the guitar is important, you know. Yeah. But they don't have that. They don't have that skill yet to be able to just keep the crack going well, and just you know, and they kind of there's a gap in the middle of it. Oh, I know what's happening, and my next song is. So they're developing their skills of playing and singing in their bedroom or in this live situation, but they can only develop their skills of being connected with an audience by doing it more and more and more, and they need to be given that opportunity.
Yes.
And some music venues are brilliant at that, some are not so hot. And if they had a forward-looking view, they ought to be really embracing these young players, because the young floor spotters of today are going to be your main artists of the future if you encourage them and they keep going.
Oh, I know that the clubs try to encourage people to come. Yeah, they definitely do. Sometimes, though, perhaps in a folk club, you'll only get like one song in the whole of the night, and it's difficult to build up an act. But whereas at an open mic night, you can get anywhere up to three to 5 songs to do.
Yeah,
I am speaking personally here. I mean, I've returned to performance after like a 20+ year gap.
Yeah,
and I've found open